So what's up, dude? Good morning to everybody who's out there. Today we're getting into Ephesians 6, 1 through 9. It's the first half of it's going to be children and parents, and the second half is slaves and masters. And so it says, children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor thy father and mother, which is the first commandment with promise, that it may be well with thee, and thou mayest live long on the earth. And ye fathers, provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. Servants, be obedient to them that are your masters according to the flesh, with fear and trembling, in singleness of your heart, as unto Christ, not with eye service or not with eye service as men pleasers, but as servants of Christ, doing the will of God from the heart, with good will, doing service as to the Lord and not to men, knowing that whatsoever good things any man doeth, the same shall he receive of the Lord, whether he be bond or free. So that is good. So what do you think, dude? What do you think about the first part of that? You guys, you and your wife are very good parents. Is there anything there that you pick up from that?
Well, thank you. First of all,
Yeah.
we try very hard, and I think that counts for a lot. But
Yeah.
I think the interesting part is verse 2, where he says, "Which is the first commandment with promise, that it may be well with thee." And when you read through the Bible and you divide up and you look at some of the stuff in like Psalms and Proverbs, I guess the Old Testament as well, there was a lot of if you, then I will type of statements and commandments. I mean, a classic one is like, if my people, which are called by my name, will humble themselves and pray, then I will heal your heal your land, da 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 da. So you're kind of used to hearing commandments like that, where if you do this, then God will do this. If y'all will do this, then He will do this. But this is Ephesians. I mean, this is as New Testament Paul as you can get, and he's like, hey, it may be well with thee, and thou mayest live long on the earth. So it's pretty wild. There's not a lot of commandments in the Bible that you can. There's a condition that where you'll get something for keeping it. So
Yeah.
I don't know that I've harped on that with my kids, and I feel weird kind of even making that statement.
Yeah.
But it is in the Bible, so take that for what it's worth. It's in there for a reason.
Yeah, I like saying that sometimes. It's in the Bible.
Yeah.
Right. Like just like boom.
Yep.
Yeah, my Bible says there's a difference between obeying and honoring. To obey means to do as one is told. To honor means to respect and love. Children are not commanded to disobey God in obeying their parents. Adult children are not asked to be subservient to their domineering parents. Children are to obey while under their parents' care, but the responsibility to honor parents is for life. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
back in Deuteronomy 5, the verse he's quoting, he says, honor thy father and mother as the Lord thy God hath commanded thee, that thy days may be prolonged, and that it may go well with thee in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. And then he says, thou shalt not kill, commit adultery, etc. Whereas Paul adds on verse 1, which is obey your parents. So he hits the honor, which you would argue sometimes, like, they're both important, but like honor is something you carry on all the way through adulthood. But yeah, he adds the obey your parents and the Lord.
Well, here's the kicker. Here's the kicker to that, right? Because So is there just is there in your opinion, do you think there's a difference between honoring so like, in the previous chapter we talked about husbands and wives and you know, basically that they need to like be unto each other, with fear unto the Lord, or that should be like the foundation of like, um, submit yourselves to one another in the fear of God. But and obviously it's talking about children. So children, I mean, a child really can't like do anything about its circumstance. If you have like, let's say you have some rowdy parents or you have some wild parents. But
Mm-hmm.
let's just say, because I know in like with men or with wives and husbands, like these things are all are to an extent where like the husband's doing good things, like not sinful things, right? But if you have a parent that say, is doing some weird stuff, I mean, how much does what is honoring them if let's just say they are like deep in sin or they're just like, abusive or whatever. Like how much does that word uh correlate? I mean, can you honor them by like not being around them, I guess? Or like, for example, um because I know the Bible talks about like, like if you see evil, like don't be around it and all this, what I'm saying? Like, but like what's your opinion on that? Let's just say you have some parents that are a little rowdy. Are
Yeah.
you kind of around them with all that drama? And let's just say there is a lot of weird stuff going on, or do you think you can honor them by setting up boundaries and just being like, hey, I love you, I pray for you, but your lifestyle and your life is so chaotic and so like insane. I'm just not going to be around it, but I do love you as my parent. I'm praying for you. And, how does that work? And what do you think about that? Because this is like best case scenario. Let's just say, assuming your parents are like, love the Lord and, your mom and dad are like honoring each other in the fear of God. Like this is like best case scenario, right? But like, on the other side of that, if they're like not fearing God and they're kind of living this crazy lifestyle, like how does that land in your mind?
Are you 8 years old or are you
Oh
38?
no. A child, you don't have a choice. Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
guys gotta like tough it out. Like if you're 8 years
Yeah.
old and you got abusive parents, like unless somebody steps in for you
Mm-hmm.
or like another adult kind of helps you, I mean you're kind of stuck. But
Yeah.
I'm saying more like after 18, not even a 16-year-old. Like it's like you're like 18 in a day. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
what is honoring to you in that circumstance? Because I know a lot of people abuse this verse because it's like, hey, I'm your parent. Just like I guess just like husbands and wives can abuse it too. It's like, hey, I'm your wife or hey, I'm your husband. You need to like do this, this, and this because the Bible says so. Versus like, no, all this stuff is like in accordance to like following the word of God. You know what I'm saying? Or doing what's honorable to God. You know what I'm saying? But like, what do you think about that? Because like spouses can choose all these things, right? But a kid, like your mom's your mom, your dad's your dad. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't really like choose that. You know what I'm saying? You're kind of just like born into it. So like, what is the word? Like, how do I mean, I know Marjorie and I have our version, but I'm like understanding of it. But like, what do you think honoring means? Like in a weird family dynamic.
Well, I think let's assume you're a man and not a woman. But I guess maybe
Yeah,
that
yeah, for
let's
sure.
let's assume you're married. Like you've left the
Yeah,
house of your parents. I think if you haven't, then verse 1 and 2 apply, especially verse 1 applies longer than most 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 4 year olds that are still living with mom and dad would like to think.
okay.
So,
Yeah,
we have the legal age is 18 and the legal age for this is 16 and the legal age for that is 21. That's not biblical.
yeah,
Those aren't like ages given by God. Um,
yeah,
so that would be like if I was talking to a 19-year-old guy who was still living with his parents and the dad wanted
yeah,
him to come home at a certain time and he's like, I'm 18. I'm going to
yeah, yeah,
side
yeah,
I'm going to side on the side of the dad because sorry dude, you're still in my house and you haven't left and cleaved unto somebody else and you've become a new flesh. Like, sorry. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's one thing. But assuming you've left the house, let's say you got married, so now you are a whole nother body. Like you have left, we talked about this yesterday, whatever. Then you go to verse 2, where you're honoring the father and mother, because you're not even like, you're still a son technically, but like you're a whole new family now, a whole new entity. And so, if my dad's like, hey, I want you to come home for Christmas, and I'm like, well, first of all, you can't make me, because I don't have to listen to that per se. But then you got to run everything through the filter of verse 2, which is it honoring your father and mother? So especially as a Christian guy that's moved out of the house, or girl, yeah, I don't have to be a partaker in any of your foolishness, and you can be offended by that. But in a way, like you said, you're kind of honoring them by saying no. I'm not going to get in all that. You're like frozen in a glitch.
Yeah.
There you are.
Okay. No, that's good. Yeah, you were cutting out a little bit, but you're saying did you bring up Luke? Is that what you said? Like you're cutting out a little bit
No.
on my side.
No, I mean the Cliff Notes is basically if
What
you're
was that last part that you said?
Yeah, so if assuming you're
Yeah, you're
moved
clear.
out,
You're clear now. Yeah.
yeah, assuming you're moved out, let's say you're married, you've got your own family, all that kind of stuff. You're technically a new person, a new body, a new thing,
Yeah.
you and your wife, or you and your family. So, if my dad's like, hey, I want you to come home for Christmas, or you must come home for Christmas, I don't have to obey that, but I might choose to come home for Christmas to honor them. But,
Yeah.
I'm running everything through that lens of honor. And if it's a sin, if it's something that's not beneficial to my family, if it's something that I don't want to be a part of, because it's going to affect my relationship with the Lord, then yeah, I'm not getting into all that. Yeah.
I got you. Yeah. And I guess what I'm trying to say is like that second part you just said can kind of come off as like, if you're a Christian, like I know a lot of people like want to use like oh, is this what Jesus would do? Or, you know what I'm saying? But it's like,
Yeah.
The responsibility really, like it should be like the parents more responsible than the kid. It should be like, the older person's like kind of leading by example versus like the younger one kind of, I get, I'm saying it shouldn't be backwards. I mean, I think there's some instances where like the kids are the more responsible ones versus the parents. And it's just like a confusing situation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, that's good. Cause I mean, yeah, if you're in a weird circumstance, and your parents are doing some weird stuff, like you don't have to feel guilty over like the honor thy father and mother verse just because, if they're like in a sinful situation, you know what I'm saying? It's wise to like kind of
absolutely.
stay away from that, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. You still there?
You know what I'm saying?
Yep. You're like cutting in and out. You still there?
That's as far as, do not provoke your children to wrath, but bring them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Like that to me kind of says like, hey, don't create all this resentment towards your kids for like a later date. You know what I'm saying? Like don't do this in a way that like later they're gonna despise me and you. You know what I'm saying? Like represent the Lord correctly, and do these things correctly. Because you could totally like fumble the bag and just make, a certain circumstance kind of like because it says nurture. You know what I'm saying? Like nurturing is like very nice. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, if you're looking at, I think it's important. He uses a lot of qualifiers or modifiers or whatever, like chapter 5, verse 21, submit yourselves in the fear of God. And then verse 22, wives submit as unto the Lord, husband, even as Christ, and then children in the Lord. So obey your parents in the Lord. Ye fathers, provoke not your children in wrath, bring them up in a nurture and admonition of the Lord. And then servants be obedient at the very end as unto Christ. So the whole like interpersonal relationship that a Christian has with anyone, and that's the cool part, is he gets into like your wife, your kids, your parents, your boss, whether they're saved or not. They don't have to be a Christian. You're going to do these things as if they were Christ or as unto the Lord. And so, man, especially like when your kids are at the ragged edge of driving you insane, you know, and then you realize you're doing this nurturing, you're doing this admonition as unto the Lord. I don't know. It would be great if there was a way for that to just like hit you right in the face in the moment, but usually you don't realize it till like after the fact when you're like, man, that was not well done.
No, for sure. No, yeah. Okay, so admonition is an act or action of admonishing, authoritative counsel, or warning. So, that's, I mean, yeah. So like you gotta nurture them, but also kind of be authoritative in your counseling and like warning of the Lord. So that's, I mean, but that's everything you need. It's like you can't have just positive, like you can't just be like nurture, love, you know what I'm saying? You gotta like, you gotta bring the hammer down but you can't be too much of the hammer and not enough of the compassion and like the nurturing side of it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you gotta have, I mean that makes a lot of sense.
I think one of the worst feelings, like two of the worst feelings in the world as a parent, one is when your child, and it can be over something that you think is pretty silly, but one is where your child is heartbroken, where it's like the sadness is just off the chain, even if it's something like really silly. Like we have this cat that showed up on the front porch, and like the first night, like Caitlin got home before me, and then I came in, there's this cat on the porch, and I was like, oh, and it like came up, is super friendly. So I like pick it up. I'm like, what's up, dude? How you doing? Hi. And like brought it inside right as she was putting all the kids to bed, and everyone was really happy. But then, Claire's like kind of the emotional one. Well, then it was like, what happens if the cat runs away? And I'm like, well, it's a high likelihood. Like he just showed up, whatever. But, that there's been moments where it's like utter heartbreak over the cat running away or the pet butterfly dying or whatever. That's one thing that'll like break your heart as a parent. The other one is when you're disciplining, and I feel like it happens more with my son, but where they get mad. Like, and they're frustrated as all get out. And, I'm sure you can think back to like when you were a kid, and it's like,
I was an angry kid.
This sense of injustice, like you don't understand the situation and you're sending me to my room or whatever. This verse always gets me, because I'm like, provided the child isn't just straight up full of the devil, like whatever, if they're like a normal, decent child, when you as the dad have let the situation get to the point that your child is furious at you, at your mom, I don't think that's the child's fault. I think that's the parent. Like you've totally screwed up somewhere. And I remember Jeff talking about this when he was doing his child rearing class. He's like, if you let your kid have too much reign, or you're lazy and you don't want to say no, or you don't want to train your kid, especially the younger they are, you're stressing your kid out because they're 3 years old. They don't have the like bandwidth to make all these like high level decisions. And, one of the examples
Yeah.
he used was everybody wants to ask their kids, like, where do you want to go for dinner? Like, what movie do you want to watch? Like, where do you want to go to play? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
He's like, they're 3 years old. You tell them what you're going to eat for dinner. So, and I think it's not just like if you not over discipline, but like there's a situation where you're disciplining your child, they get mad at you because it's all messed up. But also like if your kids are getting mad at life because you're not being the leader of the home, you're not nurturing them properly, just that's on you as a parent. Like that's not on them when they lose their cool. I think it's on you.
Yeah, no, that's really good. Yeah, I can ask my middle daughter that question, and she's the only one that always has a go-to. I'll be like, "Hey, what are you guys in the mood for?" She's like, "Spaghetti, spaghetti. We want spaghetti." And all my other kids will be like, I don't know." And I'm like, "All
Yeah.
right." And then, but yeah, she's like, "Spaghetti. We want
I think
spaghetti." And
it's
I'm like,
interesting too that he says, you fathers provoke not your children to wrath. He doesn't say parents.
no, that's a big thing, man. I think because I don't know what the percentage is, but there's a high percentage of kids that grow up in a Christian home and then they go to college and it's like see you later, faith. You know what I'm saying? And it's one of those things to where it's like, and I think you can get a lot from like the discipline side of Christianity, but I think what holds kids is like the truth of it, but like with the truth, it's like the love, the nurturing, like the positives of Christianity. I think, you know what I'm saying? Like I think, you know, how you treat them, how you treat your wife, how do you treat your friends around you? Like, it's not just to your wife. I mean, you can show affection towards everybody around you, but it's like, if you're not doing that, and then, or if let's just say you are doing that, and then you're different at home, or you know, it's like, I, to me, the word just comes up as like resentment. Provoke your children not to wrath. It's like, don't poke them so much towards like you don't know what you're creating with like this negativity. You know what I'm saying? And it is, and I think it does come from fathers because fathers are like 0 to 100 sometimes pretty quick.
Yep.
And it's hard, man, because nobody like teaches you this stuff. Like you're kind of just like God bless the first child because you're kind of growing up with that kid, testing everything. He's like your
Yeah.
live test. You know what I'm saying? I tell Gavin sometimes like, I was like, man, you, you and your mom are like, we're just running through this life for the first time. Your siblings are getting a little bit more data.
Yeah.
Like you're like, but it's weird though, because they wouldn't change it though. Like the oldest wouldn't change it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's almost like a badge of honor.
Have you ever grown a tomato plant?
No, I want to.
What about
I
a
mean,
rose bush?
no, not a rose bush either. No, not a rose for sure.
So I think as parents, if you think of your kid as like a rose bush or a tomato plant, the
Yeah,
the nurturing, because you can go too far on either side. Um, and I don't like gardening at all, but I think the example is fine. Like you have to water them, you have to give them fertilizer. Um, have you seen Caitlin's crazy little grow thing in our living room?
yeah. I like
Okay,
I like that.
so you have to
It's
give
like
them
they say it's
water.
really easy.
Yeah, like water. Then those obnoxious lights. You got to give them sunlight. You got to give them fertilizer, whatever. And I think parents call them like the gentle parents or just like the low discipline parents. They're big on
Yeah,
like the nurture. The problem is like with certain plants and whatever, you have to prune them. You have to get in there and like tie them to a trellis so they'll go up the right
yeah,
way. And that's the admonishing part of parenting. But if you never feed your kid and give them sunlight, and you're always just pruning and tying them to stuff, then that's not good either. And so the Christian life and
Yeah.
life in general is all about balance. But
Yeah.
the quickest way to, and I think that's what Jeff was saying, we always think like, oh, provoking your children to wrath is by disciplining them too much, or like being a hard parent and yelling at them all the time.
Yeah.
You can also provoke them to wrath by being the over nurture parent, because they never have a boundary, they never have a wall, and it might be a delayed onset frustration, and it might be like when they're in their 20s or 30s where they're going to be like, why did you let me run wild? Like, why didn't you try to rein me in? So there's a balance there.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll have conversations with my kids too to kind of tell them like, hey, like let's just say that, like one of my biggest pet peeves is like just like whining, I guess, and I'm just gonna be like, hey, I'm like just so you're aware, just so like I can tell you this, I'm like, if you do that in the real world, I'm like nothing good's gonna come from it. I'm like literally nothing. Like if anything, people are gonna look down at you, they're gonna judge you, and they're gonna be like what's wrong with this person, whereas if you can just stop that sound and just take a deep breath and be like, hey, this is bothering, like just say it, in in a normal tone, but like just train you guys' mind to like stop saying that, like stop doing that like whiny sound, and just ask for what you need, or say, or tell me what's going on, and use your words, because I'm like, that sound is not going to get you what you want. It's not going to help your circumstance. It's not going to do anything positive. Just use your words and just tell me what you need, or tell me what happened, or what we call it. And yeah, I mean, and I mean, if you just give them like the real world insight, yeah, I mean, like the information of like, like how this is not going to benefit you at all. You know what I'm saying? And obviously you can only do that with like, I mean, I can't do that with my 2 or 3 year old, you know what I'm saying? But like, you can do that with like your, 7, 5, 8, 10 year old, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, no, and I don't know, it's cool. I mean, I never really thought of it like this, but yeah, Paul is going through like, because chapter 5 talks about as living as a child of the light. So he talks about like being a child, being a husband, being a wife, being a child again, parents, employee slash slave slash master slash boss, like basically like every avenue of life.
Yeah.
And it's super cool. He just gives you like this like human like speed test, or like this speed curriculum thing about like every possible scenario. You know what I'm saying? Which is super cool. I guess like Paul was very intentional, man. Like he had like a good thought. Like he had a plan. You know what I'm saying? Like he wasn't just writing. Like if I was writing letters to people, I don't think I'd have a format. I think I'd just like pull from the hip and just like start writing. But he had like it was very, very like concise and just like organized.
Yeah, he was pretty smart. He's pretty smart. Yeah, and I think like I mentioned it, he just keeps bringing it back to as unto the Lord, as unto the Lord. Do this to the Lord. Why that is so hard to keep in our brains throughout the day, I don't know. But
yeah,
and then I think when he pulls out the whole servants and masters, and then back in Timothy, he does it again, where he talks about that.
yeah,
He doesn't say if you have a saved parent, if you have a saved master, it's like there's certain things you just do because they're right, and you do them unto the Lord. As far as how you treat that person, how you respect and honor that person. But man, it's so hard to do sometimes.
yeah. Would you say as unto the Lord is like a translation of like not your will or not my will but your will. Like as unto the Lord is the Lord's will versus like not honoring your wife or like not honoring your husband is like what I want to do to an extent.
Yeah, for sure. Like you're almost picturing the person that you're honoring or you're obeying is Christ. And
Well, yeah,
so,
because that's what yeah, it's what it's like as of yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
yeah,
yeah,
yep.
yeah,
Well, like in verse 24 of chapter 5, um, I think when you read the Bible, the like as and like are important because he's trying to help you understand something. And he's like, as the church is subject unto Christ. Well, we are pretty subject unto Christ. Like we're pretty subject. Um, so let the
yeah,
wives be to their own husbands in everything. And it's like, okay, I got that. That's pretty clear. Um, and yeah, I mean it's hard to do, but it's a simple concept.
yeah, dude. Well, because there's times where like yeah, Linda from the office will try you a little bit and just like get on your nerves, or like that one kid that's the most like you is gonna push your buttons. Maybe has like the most vigor in their blood. You know what I'm saying? Like they're gonna test you. Then yeah, man, there's I'm sure there's been times where either Caitlin or definitely Marjorie, but they'll say something and you're just like, what in the world? like what in the like they'll test you a little bit, dude. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, am I gonna do what am I gonna do what I want to do, or am I gonna follow this Bible and just like,
Yep.
you know what I'm saying? And it is like, yeah, it's not my will, Lord. It's not thy will, or it's not my will, it's thy will. And it's like, I guess it's like the spirit kind of putting some reins on this flesh, you know what I'm saying? And just doing what God's saying. It's like, it's what's stronger, like your spirit, or is it like the flesh? You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Um,
and you can get so far by faking it till you make it, which I think
yeah,
is
dude. Yeah,
if
it's hilarious.
like if with my children, it's like they don't have to want to obey me out of their own heart, but they still have to obey me. But how much better is it when they want to obey you? And
Yeah,
so, like in verse 6, when he talks about the servants and stuff, he's like, not with eye service as men pleasers, but as the servants of Christ, doing the will of God from the heart. And I love the
yeah,
verse, commit your works unto the Lord and your thoughts will be established. And sometimes you just have to get up and grind it out as just because it's what you're supposed to do. But verse 6 is the goal for your kids, for your wife, for us, for your employees, for your boss. Um, doing it from the heart, doing the will of God. Um, that if we could just somehow
yeah,
figure out how to do that on a daily basis, we'd have it. That'd be it.
yeah, yeah. My Bible is talking. It says Paul's instructions encourage responsibility and integrity on the job. Christian employees should do their jobs as if Jesus Christ were their supervisor, and Christian employers should treat their employees fairly and with respect. Can you be trusted in your job to do your best? Yeah, no, for sure. Um, yeah, and like eye service as men pleasers, but as servants of Christ. Yeah, no, this is yeah. Servants be obeyed to your masters according to the flesh, with fear and trembling and singleness of your heart, as unto Christ, not with eye service as men pleasers, but as the servants of Christ. Yeah, doing the will of God from the heart. Yeah, which is yeah. I mean, it's crazy to think that like if you have this task that is hard, Paul kind of writes it under the fact of it's like doing the will of God from the heart. Like he kind of just like summarizes like that's the threshold, right? You can either do what you want, or you can do the will of you can do the will of God from your heart. With good will service as unto the Lord and not as to men. Because like what's crazy about that though is like what the effects of it is. It's like this is clearly you're different, because let's just say everybody around you is doing one thing, right? They're just doing what they want to do. They're doing what they think is right. And then here's this weird guy, Josh, that like we have the worst boss ever, but he's like not talking bad about his boss, and like he's doing his job with joy, and he's not talking bad about anybody. And it's like, and then somebody asks you like, what's your deal, dude? Like, how are you not like, how's your mind not throbbing right now? You're just like, oh, because I fear God more than I do Jim. Like this is easy compared to like hell. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I'm just saying
Yeah.
it's like one of those things where it's like you're different. You're not of this world. You know what I'm saying? Like people can clearly see that, you know?
Well, I think, verse 5, 6, he's talking about servants, but call it employees and stuff. I think at some point too, it's like if you've been at a job for so long, and your boss is just an absolute terrible human being, and it is impossible for you to do verse 6 with that guy or girl, leave. Like I don't think
Yeah.
I think there's some Christians that are like grinding it out at a job where it's like it's a bad influence, it's a bad attitude, it's a bad everyone's
Yeah.
super vulgar, this and that, this and that, this and that. It's like, well, thank goodness you're not a bond servant, you're not a slave to that guy. You might feel
Yeah.
like you are because he's writing you a check, but if there was something else in your Christian life that was limiting your ability to have a good heart posture to the Lord and all that kind of stuff, you would get that out of your life. So maybe there's times where
Yeah.
you just need to cut loose, and try
Yeah.
again.
And then the other side of that too, right? Because this is where my mind goes to, man. It's like when you are standing before the Lord getting judged, and he's got all these, like, let's just say you're getting judged and you have like something to say about it, and it's like not nice. He's gonna be like, well, dude, I had Josh there for years. Josh was there kind of showing you what to do, dude. Like, what excuse? I guess what I'm trying to say is like when you do these things, you are a representative of the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Like you are, and I'm not saying like, hey, this guy's gonna use, like God's gonna use your testimony and your eyewitness accounts to like judge this man, but like, when we're around, like we are the example. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, yeah, dude, like no, like I had this gentle dude there that had a good spirit about him, and like you learned nothing, like you didn't do like you, that was a complete waste to you. You know what I'm saying, or whatever. But but yeah, and knowing
Yeah,
that whatever good thing any man doeth, go ahead.
First Timothy 6, it's like another Paul level doctrine or whatever. Let as many servants as are under the yoke count their own masters worthy of all honor, that the name of God and his doctrine be not blasphemed. And they that have believing masters, let them not despise them, because they are brethren, but rather do them service, because they are faithful and beloved, partakers of the benefit. These things teach and exhort. It's like if he was telling that to people who were literal servants and slaves, how much more can we do that when we're getting a paycheck, and we're getting a 401k, and we're getting benefits? It's like, I think that's why like the whole complaining thing just drives me insane when people are just whining complainers. It's like you don't get off the hook because your boss is mean or whatever. And if you're not going to leave, then the rules apply. Like you have to honor them as unto the Lord. So, quit complaining. And back then, like when you were a slave or a servant, you weren't allowed to just leave. And Paul still held those people to a very high standard of, you honored that person.
Yeah, I learned something really big yesterday in this thing I'm doing, and he was talking about complaining, and the guy was saying it's really good. He's like, the only reason why we complain is because there's a way, there's an option for us to like change our circumstance, but we're choosing not to. And it's like that's the only place complaining comes from, is knowing that you can change something, but you're not. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, because otherwise, if you're actively going against whatever you're complaining about, you're not complaining because you're working. You know what I'm saying? Like you can actively try to be against whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I hate this the lunch food or the food from work. I thought, this food stinks. Well, you can make your own lunch then. Like, it's not like you're only complaining because you're choosing what you don't like. You know what I'm saying? Or I don't know. It's like you can like think about anything, but it's like you do have a choice, right? Even the weather, dude. Yeah, like you can move. You know what I'm saying? Like, and at the end of the day, you can like pack your stuff up and go somewhere else. Like, it's like anything you're complaining about is literally in your power to change outside of like gravity. You can't change gravity, but like the guy was like, you can literally change anything other than like like he said, he's like, other than gravity, you can't change it, but it's like you can change things, and it's like you only complain when you're in whatever situation that you're in, but you're not choosing to change it. And I'm just like, huh.
Yeah, it's
so he's
interesting
basically saying it's coming from a. Go ahead.
Well, it's interesting because I'm thinking of examples where something bad happens to a person that they can't change. So, like, because I always think in extremes. So you think of somebody that's locked up in a concentration camp. It's like, but you hear stories, and I don't think a lot of them ran around complaining constantly. I could be wrong. I don't know. I wasn't there. And then I think of people that I work with who've been through like tragedy, medically tragic things. And the ones that it wasn't self-inflicted, because a lot of medical call it tragedy, disease, whatever, is self-inflicted. Oh, it may not be like I wrecked my car, but it could be, bad lifestyle habits for 40 years and now I'm here. But the ones where it's like truly a tragedy that was like out of their control, whatever, I almost feel like as a general rule, they are less likely to be the complainers. So there's something to that, because when it's something that they did to themselves or something that you could change, it's almost like you're complaining at the situation, you're complaining at your boss or whatever. But really, you're complaining about yourself because you're lazy, you're not disciplined, you're not motivated. But you're not going to down yourself. So you're going to find somebody else, like the next guy up the totem pole.
Yeah, and what the guy was saying is like if you're actively working towards whatever you're doing, then you're not complaining because you're working. You know what I'm saying? You're like you can't like basically like complaining only comes from a place of like laziness. Basically, he's like you're not changing your circumstance. You're not able to like, and obviously you can change your job, you can change your boss. I mean, you can change anything. Like you can change your don't change, like don't get divorced, but like you can change your, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like you can do all that stuff, but it's like if you're actively working, like if you're working on your wife's relationship, then you're not complaining because you're working on it. You know what I'm saying? If you're working on your fatherhood or whatever we call it, like so he's just like get to work basically. But it's like one of those things where, complaining only comes from a place of like, you're just there taking it kind of like, you're not actively trying to like make anything better. You're just, it's like, I don't know. It's the opposite of like work, or it's like the opposite of like, progression or like, development,
Yeah. There's no biblical precedent where we're supposed to be complaining. Like there's there's no example where complaining is okay. So for whatever that's worth, like just don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, is complaining in the Bible, is that the gnashing of teeth thing, or is that just screaming? Like where they're like gnashing of teeth? Is that like Like when you hear that term, is that like them crying because of like pain or like sadness, or is that them like talking junk in like agony?
No, I think
You know
like
what I'm saying?
gnashing of teeth is like gritting your teeth. So it would be a like a pain thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotcha. But yeah, no, this was good, man. Basically, like, I mean, what I got out of this is just like do all things unto the Lord. You know what I'm saying? And like
Yep.
doing it according to the will of God from your heart, you know. And it says, the same shall he receive of the Lord, whether he be bond or free. You know what I'm saying? Like they're like, it's crazy. Like it doesn't matter your position on earth. Like we're all under the same law, and whether you're like a slave or like a master, if you're sinning, then you're going to the same place. But if you're like doing what God's will is, and you're going to the same place. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate Ephesians for the fact, and I guess just the Bible in general, but the three relationships that we are most likely to be in as humans is parent and child, whether we're the parent or the child or both. The husband wife relationship, and then
Mhm.
the servant and the master. And what's cool
Yeah,
about like Ephesians, especially when you have kids and you're training them up, your kids are hopefully going to go through each one of those stages. Obviously, they're a
yeah,
kid now. Hopefully, one day they're married. Hopefully, one day they have a job. Um, and each one of those, you have the opportunity to paint a picture of Christ and us. So whether it's a child and a father, we know that that's the true like picture there. Husband and a wife, that's there. And then later on, like verse 9, your master, capital M, also is in heaven. So there you have a picture of a perfect master, and we're the servants to that perfect master. Um, so I, kind of the caution is be careful when you're that picture to your kids or to your people in the world. um, I think maybe that's what he's getting at with like as unto the Lord, is when you're fathering your kid and you're doing it as unto the Lord, you're picturing God to your
yeah,
kids. Like this is how God fathers us. And
yeah,
then and in your situation, it's kind of cool because you're a boss, like you're an employer. So it's like
yeah,
you are literally picturing God to us when you're working with those guys. Um,
yeah.
so there's a lot of responsibility there, but it's cool because like, especially with your children, there's a lot of practical knowledge that you can send down the chain to them.
Dude, 100%. And then I also think about too, like I don't want to be the reason why like someone like I don't. I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't want to represent Christianity in a way where like I'm taking these dudes down the wrong path. Like I don't want to be a Pharisee by no means. I don't want to be, looking good on the outside, but my insides are like dry. I don't want to be that guy, man, because I think that's like the saddest. Like the saddest thing in the world is knowing the truth, but being dead inside. Like that to me is like the biggest atrocity. Like the most sad thing you could ever do is like know the truth, but there's no life in there. There's no light. There's like, and but on the outside you've got all these rules, right? Oh, like thou shalt not, and like you can point the finger, and you're just like, you know what I'm saying? Like a bad, like not bad, but just like I don't know, man, just very like untasteful. But when God looks into your heart, it's just death and whatever. But like, yeah, that would be like my fear. Like that's my fear, bro. Like, not the, I mean, I don't, I think I have good in me, but I'm saying, uh, like I don't, and I see Christians like that. I'm just like, man, you don't know what you're like. It's like when Jesus said, like, you don't know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like how do you have this book of life and you're using it in a way that's like not life? You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. Like this book's so cool, dude, and the fact that like this book allows you to reach men's hearts.
Hmm.
It allows you to like get through the barriers and to like have these deep relationships with people, or like have these like amazing circumstances with people, to where like you can like it's like that one verse that we were reading, like you can literally bring people from the dead to life. You know what I'm saying? Like save their soul.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's so good. And it's like, and when it comes to like awkwardness and stuff, I've gotten over that fear of just like I don't care anymore, dude. Like, I mean, like, yeah, bro, if I see something and I can make you laugh, or I can make you like think about something in a different way, and I can like get past that, like for example, I'll give you an example. Like when I was at Thanksgiving, my little brother, I was telling him, I was like, yeah, like one of our cousins was like really, he's like a farmer guy, but he's like really hard around the edges. And I gave him a hug, and you could tell that he was stiff. Like he didn't wrap his arms around me. He was like stiff, like it was uncomfortable for him. So then when he got more stiff, I hugged harder. Right. And then I was telling my brother this. I was like, dude, like I'm gonna get to that dude. Like I'm gonna get to that heart.
Yeah.
And my brother says, boundaries, bro, boundaries. You know what I'm saying? I was like, a hug? He's my cousin, dude. I can hug my cousin. Like, what are you talking about? Like bump those boundaries. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? But it was funny because like in that moment, I knew that like I wanted to, whether it's a seed or I don't know, dude, whatever. I was giving him love. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, it was funny because that's never happened to where like I hugged somebody and they got like even more tense and uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, that's what I'm doing, bro. I'm busting these walls, dude. I'm hitting these walls down because like at the end of the day, like why wouldn't I want them to like have like faith in Christ, and why wouldn't I want them to come from death? You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't know. It's just one of those things that like, but that's what this book does, man. It only increases life. It only increases peace and joy and all these good things, gentleness, patience, all that stuff, man. But it's like, but there's a dark side to that too. Like you can also use it in a way. It's like that like you can create darkness in people, and you can create resentment and animosity and just represent the Lord in the worst way. And I don't want to be that guy, man, at all. Like I don't want to like be the reason. Like what does it say in the Bible? Like you can like they were leading people to their graves or something, or the blind, they were leading. It was like the blind leading the blind or something.
Blind lead the blind. They both fall in a ditch.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like I don't want to be that guy, man. I really don't. Like I don't want to be that guy at all. But yeah, dude. Cool, man. Well, thanks for this morning, dude. I'll pray us out, and then we'll be good to go. So, dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for everything you do for us, God. I just pray that one, Lord, that we can just be good parents to our kids and represent you in the best way, Lord. And I pray that, when it comes like, servants and masters, Lord, I pray that, whether we're an employee or we're a boss, God, I pray that we can just represent you well and glorify your name, and just, do the will of God, from our hearts, God, and, just do what's right. And Lord, we love you. Thank you so much for everything you do for us, God. If anybody's listening to this and they have some prayer requests, God, I pray that you just touch their hearts and touch their circumstance. And Lord, we love you, and thank you so much for everything. We pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
All right.
Let's get this thing.